So for us to find that breathing into the out piece is one of the promise. And so ancestors are not fully given space to be reflected upon or processed. So this is already getting us into Pisces water, right? And Anais's work gives the reader permission to reflect on the topic from emotional off forgiveness. Woman of Marian Anderson. They pierced him in the side, and he never said a mumbling word. Not a Marian Anderson was born on February 27th, 1897, and passed away on April 8th, 1993. Marian Anderson is a Pisces sun, Capricorn moon, Aquarius north node, making her a mystical little girl in an important business meeting, bringing people together in a circle. To the spirit of Marian Anderson, we deeply bow to you. If you've been listening to the show regularly, you know the sound of this music. It means that we're at our final two for the Queen of the Zodiac series. We're now at our final two for Queen of Pisces. We have Nina Simone going up against Elizabeth Taylor. Before we get into all of that, I do have a few announcements that I would like to make. First off, there's a Patreon for this show, patreon.com/cosmiccousins, in which you can make a monthly donation to the show for all of my work and contribution, showing up each week for you as a free offering. This helps to ensure that I am supported in this endeavor. So if you'd like to support the show, this show is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, and we have a new Patreon supporter this week, Britton LaRue, and I'd like to read a quote that Britton sent in to me. So this is what Britton wrote to me. Britton said, "Hi Jeff, I love your podcast. I've been meaning to share that I'm a Pisces Sun, Mercury, Venus, all in the 12th house, and my name has always been mispronounced. It's Britton. People just hear the first syllable and brain creates Brittany. New intricacies. So the intention of this conversation is by no means to Simone."
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So about the garden growth.
Yeah, so I really love to work with the land as well, and so helping people to connect with that through whatever medium it is that they're able to find communion in that way has been so fulfilling and wonderful for me.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about
permanent? Everything is changing all the time, so there really is no permanent culture, but it's more sustainable and permanent ways of being in the world.
Mm-hmm. And what's coming to me now is when you say it's working, you said working with the earth, not against it, right? So
Yeah.
that feels very mutable to me. It's kind of flowing. So I'm excited to get into the mutable feels with you all, but I just wanted to reflect that back.
Thank you. There's so many things too. Like when I was sending you that bio, I was like, wow, yoga practice on the water. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I love so much about having a friendship with you and learning on this show is that I didn't know all this stuff. When Jeff and I, Candy and I, when we met when I was in Hawaii, I remember walking up to the dining lanai, and everyone was like, what's your sun? What's your moon? What's your rising? And I was like, I have no idea what any of that means. So our friendship really started me on that path, and being in Hawaii started me on this path of making these connections that I had already sort of made for myself, which I really love.
My Mercury is in Pisces and my Jupiter is in Pisces, so I feel like this is...
Third Mercury and Pisces trifecta.
Yeah. Which is kind of taking me into this. So you might have heard that Megan called me Canyon just now and then was like, no, wait, Jeff. And I even had to call Anais before this to check in about the pronunciation of the name. I was kind of horrified when I was studying on a queen.
And the name, because even I changed my name early when I was young, and my name is actually spelled with one N on my birth certificate, but I spelled it my whole life with two N's, like my birth name. So my birth name is Anna, and on my birth certificate it's ANA. Every other document is ANNA. And when I was born, my mom named me Anna Leticia, but then when the fifth grade came, I got sick of spelling all that, so I just changed it to Anna. And then as a writer and all this stuff, I've had 10 other names I've used by now, by 35. I've used so many names I've given myself. So the name thing in Pisces is just, there's something there. I think there's power in choosing a name that reflects you and what you're doing at the time. With that whole mutable Pisces thing, it's you move into something else and you change your name. I feel it kind of makes sense. And as far as pronouncing things goes, I guess Mercury in Pisces, Sun in Pisces, I just always mispronounced things, since I was young. And I used to be really embarrassed about it. But now I just kind of laugh after I say it. I'm just whatever. Which you need a sense of humor if you have Mercury in Pisces, because, we could be in a room and there could be a cup across the room and we're that thing, could you grab that? That over there, that, and it's just wait, what are you talking about, that? And then 5 minutes later we're cup. So I feel you need a sense of humor. And then my last comment about pronouncing things with the name is it was funny when you called me and asked me that, because that happens all the time, people. But it's another funny thing is a lot of my close friends I've known since high school call me Anais. They don't even call me Anna. Anais is become my name, which is really funny because that's the name I chose. I think I picked that name before my Saturn return, and just people I've known before Anais even existed call me Anais, which is pretty amazing. And I have switched the way the name was used before. I think last year I was using Anais a lot, and then this year started and I was it's Anais. So I also don't really get upset if people ask which one it is, because my watery nature, I'm I'm feeling this one now and this is it. So yeah, thank you for calling and asking me. And yeah, I'm totally about this topic because it's such a real thing. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. What about you, Megan? Does anything come up with this?
Well, my first name is Megan, which is a pretty basic name, but there's so many spellings of Megan that I always am Megan. And then I was speaking about this with my sisters. I have 3 sisters, and our last name is Kelly, and it's E-Y. And the other day we were I wonder how many times in my life I've said E-Y at the end instead of K-E-L-L-Y. But what I connect with most with this question is communication through Pisces. So most of my my offerings have to do with speaking and with communication. And the feedback I often will get, especially in my yoga classes, is that people really enjoy my voice, something about the tone of my voice. It's always oh, I really like your voice. But something I really have to be mindful of as well, and that I kind of ground into that Virgo aspect of as well, is bringing things down to earth when I'm communicating, because this sort of thought process, even permaculture itself, can be put in this kind of new age bracket that is deflected and deferred by a lot of people, and I want to reach as many people as possible with this message. So I motivator, and something that used to really get me down. I have this memory of a couple years ago, probably not a couple years ago now, it's crazy, but it was one of my first yoga retreats I'd been on, and I just remember being in a circle and just crying and being so sad about the condition of the earth and the way that we as humans are treating the earth. And I think now I've sort of been able to, that's that Pisces out of balance. And that's something I learned from you and from the show, is to become a soul-centered Pisces, is to feel those feelings and to use them as strength, to pull on that fire and to use them for the greater good, to help, like you were saying, Pisces for the future is to push things forward in a positive way, and to feel those feelings and to be aware of them and the system that's in place, and be able to use that knowledge for a higher good.
Taking all of this into consideration, it's making me think of with the self-care, with the deep feelings of the collective, there can be a sense of loneliness that's associated with
in the world. How tall house, seeing someone in their life kind of